Over the years, I've gone through tons of different cameras, lenses, various pieces of equipment, and it's all exciting. Everyone knows getting your hands on a new piece of gear is fun, and it is exciting, but it's always short-lived excitement. There's never really any sustainable excitement or real inspiration that comes from just trying out new gear, as fun as it may be. What should excite you and inspire you is photography itself, and there has been no other form of inspiration that I've found quite like photo books. Just consuming photography in print form is an entirely different way, especially nowadays, for photographers to consume photography. A lot of us here, myself and those of you that are regularly watching this channel, we talk a lot about photo books. We look at them together every Wednesday night on the live stream, but a lot of people tend to overlook photo books and just overlooking consuming photography in this way. So I want to just encourage you and challenge you in this video, I think, to find the work that actually excites you, that really inspires you. Do you personally feel inspired when you look at social media? I know myself, I see some of the photography that I follow and subscribe to when I check social media, but oftentimes I'm also seeing a lot of other stuff that whatever the algorithm is serving me up that day, I'm going to see that more than I see the actual work that I'm wanting to see. Oftentimes that gets kind of buried underneath everything. And thankfully there is a much better way to consume photography. And when you're sitting down with a book and the book is finished, you're not only seeing the photographer's work, but you're seeing it presented in a very specific way, the way that they want you to experience the work. Everything from the sequencing and the order of the photos in the book, as well as the materials used. Everything that goes into a book is a very intentional decision, and it's just another aspect of the photographer that you get to see, and you kind of get to see into their process and their thought process when you're consuming it in this way, as opposed to just scrolling into it on, a glass screen. One of my favorite things about photo books is just discovery and finding new photographers through this process. Elliott Erwitt is one of my all-time favorite photographers. I have many of his books. I found his work just through stumbling across a book of his in a Barnes & Noble. I didn't buy photo books really at the time, but I found his work. I fell in love with it. And I also have found plenty of other photographers that, for instance, Mary Fry. Mary Fry is an incredible photographer when you think about document your life and photographing everyday life. Mary Fry was one that I had never seen until maybe 5-ish years ago, I want to say. My friend Kevin was like, oh yeah, you would love Mary Fry. And I'm like, I've never heard of her. And then I saw this book, and immediately it blew me away. It was work that I'd never seen before. It's everyday life kind of stuff, the kind of things that I really love. There's this idea of finding out about different photographers and like going on that hunt, looking to see what they've done, what they've made over the years. It's very similar, I think, if people are interested in music and you find an artist that you really like and then you realize there's like a whole back catalog of stuff you've never heard. It's a really exciting feeling. Photography and photo books is the same way. When you find a photographer that you really get inspired by, it's unlike any other form of photography that I've found in terms of giving you the actual inspiration that I think most of us are looking for when we're, wanting to look at other photographers. Another one, Sage Sawyer, who I've talked about many times here on the channel. This is the first book of hers I came across, Animals. I mean, they're complex photos, but they're very simple and honest photos of just everyday life and people with their pets, their animals. This is one that every time I look at it, I get inspired by it. In a similar way, pointing the camera at real life and your own life. This is a book by Deanna Templeton called What She Said. It involves portraits of young girls while also sharing like personal diary entries of her when she was a kid and like the real life experiences that she had and sharing that through the portraits of these younger women that she's photographing. There's all kinds of different and complex photography that you can't really consume the same way outside of in this form. If I just looked at individual photos from this book on Instagram, it might not really appeal to me. I might not be interested in it. But when I sit down with this book, completely undivided attention, I'm focused on the work itself and the context that's given with it. it transports you into the work in a completely different way because there is no distraction. There is no interruption. You're sitting with the work at your own pace. You're not in a gallery where you're standing and making sure you're not, holding up the line or whatever. This is something I can sit and by myself, I can take the time to look at any of this work. And that's just something you don't get any other way than through sitting down with printed work like this. Obviously, looking at some of the masters of photography and the legends, Walker Evans' American Photographs, this is probably one of the books I've owned the longest. It's kind of just like required reading, I think, for most photographers. But every time I sit down with this work, it reminds me that as simple as it is, it's timeless. And the role of, documenting history with photography, that's a big role of photography itself. And oftentimes I will learn about history just through photo books. This is Black and White America by Leonard Freed. This is work that I wasn't aware of until just a few months ago. Well, I should say I had seen the work before, but I didn't know about this specific book until just several months ago, and I picked it up. And just being able to see real life in a historical setting like this, again, there's so much to learn, not just as photographers, but learning about humanity through photos, learning about our country through photos. A lot of this stuff is very, very heavy photos. At the time, I'm sure they were, but you think about the way photos age over time. It's a similar thing where a single photo could mean something, but the collection of all of the work together, it's such a bigger impact. And then you add time on top of that. Again, it's kind of like the music reference earlier. It's like finding an old album that, if it was never made all those decades ago in a physical form, would you have stumbled across it in a record store? You don't really stumble across an MP3 file, finding old photo books, finding used photo books. There are tons of new photo books being made seemingly every week. I can't keep up. There's always a running list of books that are coming out that I want to buy, but I just simply don't have the time or the money to buy them all. But it's going to like half-price bookstores and finding random photo books you would have never seen. For instance, Dog Run by Michael Krauser. I bought this book for, I think, $4 or $5 many years ago, and it's all photos made in a dog park. Very high contrast, super moody photos, and it's great. It's one of my favorites, and this is the only book by this photographer. I know nothing about them or anything. This is the one book. That's the beauty of it. I just happened to stumble across this book. This wasn't on someone's, top 10 books of the year list. It didn't win some award that caught my attention. I just saw the cover and I thought it was interesting. And I think you can apply that to a book. You can apply that to a record that you find. It's no different with photo books. These are just a handful of books I grabbed off the shelf. I could have done this with any of these books. There's nothing, I guess, specific about these books. It's just a matter of you have to be pretty proactive to find the work that really excites you and inspires you. For me, it started by just going to a Barnes & Noble, stumbling across Elliott Erwitt, but then learning more about photo books, learning about different publishers. Anytime I find a new book and I look at and see who published the book, if it was published, maybe it was self-published, I look to try and find other books by that same publisher. If I really enjoyed this book, what other books have they put out? What other books has this individual photographer put out? You kind of have to do some research and be proactive in finding it, but that's part of the fun. Finding smaller bookstores, bookstores that are carrying work from newer artists that are maybe up and coming and not just the greatest hits like you might find at a Barnes & Noble, something like that. Aside from just photo books, there are plenty of other ways for you to engage with printed photography, such as the sponsor of this video, Frames. Frames is a quarterly printed magazine featuring work and discussions from both established and emerging photographers. The design itself is super clean, super minimal. There's not a ton of distractions and advertisements like you would typically see in a magazine. Again, just letting the photography speak for itself, which is something I think any photographer can appreciate. Frames also offers a downloadable monthly publication, Frames Digital, which features additional portfolios, articles, interviews, and more. You also get access to Frames' online live events where you can hear from and connect with renowned photographers and industry leaders, such as past speakers like Matt Black, Alex Soth, and Martin Parr. You can check Frames out by visiting the link in the description, and new subscribers to Frames, you can get 10% off your subscription if you use the coupon code MATTDAY. So big thanks to Frames for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me talk about photo books many times, but I wanted to kind of talk about why photo books mean so much to me, why I think they're such an important way for photographers to engage with photography in general, because it's very easy to, I think, just get lost and get burnt out in the social media world. Me speaking for myself at least, I know a lot of other people have had similar experiences, and all of the years, no matter if I'm in a creative rut, if I'm feeling just uninspired, photo books are the only thing I have found over the years that really give me that kind of inspiration that I'm looking for. If you could bottle it up and sell it, you'd be a millionaire. Check out the links in the description. I'll put a link to some different photo book stores that I regularly shop from that I can vouch for. Check out the photo book stores themselves. Look for their email newsletters. Look for the email newsletters from publishers. Try and do whatever you can to make sure that you're going to be made aware of any new books that might be coming out. That, to me, is the best way to kind of stay engaged with it and keep an eye out for new books. And again, look for old books as well. Go to some discount bookstores and see what you can find, because oftentimes you can find something that you didn't know you were looking for. So let me know what you think in the comments of this video. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.